welcome back to the Bliss Bean. So I get a lot of questions that sound something like, how do you stay motivated to be so productive all the time? How do you not run out of motivation? And initially when I wanted to make this video titled Motivation versus Self-Discipline, I was just basically gonna say that you need to develop your self-discipline because motivation won't always be there for you. And that is like the most cliche message ever, so thank goodness I didn't end up making the video that way. Because what happened was, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I don't actually use that much self-discipline in my day-to-day life. Sure, there are things that I do that require self-discipline, like not checking notifications in the morning, eating healthily, or waking up early every morning. But for every single one of those acts of willpower, I can also tell you how I've designed my life to make that better choice easier to make. Before I go to bed, I set my phone to do not disturb so that I don't see any notifications on my lock screen in the morning. I have a bunch of favorite healthy recipes that I love to make and eat, and I have a morning routine that actually kind of makes me want to get out of bed because I know that I can enjoy some quiet time in the morning before I get into doing any kind of work. So I realized that it's not just discipline and motivation, it's not one or the other. There's a whole third layer to this question, and that's what this video is about. So in this video, we're going to break down what is motivation, what is self-discipline, how do they work, and how do we design a life that maximizes our motivation and minimizes our need to rely on self-discipline. So let's start with motivation. Feeling motivated is pretty amazing. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that. That burst of energy that you get when you get a new idea for a new project, or that feeling after you get a good night's sleep and you just feel ready to take on the world. Motivation combined with focused action can create some serious magic, so it's definitely worth taking some time to learn and understand the patterns of your own motivation. For example, I study languages in the morning because that's when I consistently feel the most motivated to do it, and I work out in the afternoon or evening because I do not feel motivated to do that in the morning at all. So yeah, a lot of people on the internet wake up at the crack of dawn to do morning workouts, but I know that this works for me, so I choose to do something different. As you go through life, I encourage you to have almost the attitude of a scientist. If you notice that you never feel motivated to clean the house Sunday evening, this week maybe try doing it Saturday morning. Maybe you'll just realize you were too tired on Sunday evenings and now you'll no longer have to force yourself to clean. If you notice you dread going on runs, maybe it's the activity you're not motivated about and you can find a different path to the same end goal, which is fitness, and maybe try a group exercise class or something. Motivation, however, is also a very fleeting thing. Oftentimes we have no idea why it comes and goes at certain times, and sometimes even our favorite activities suddenly become the last thing that we want to do. So relying solely on motivation to power you through life is not the best idea. Once that initial spark of energy fades, you'll give up on your good progress and just end up feeling bad again because you gave up. So may I introduce you to our good friend, self-discipline. Self-discipline comes in when you are lacking motivation. Self-discipline is not a very fun word because it generally implies doing not fun things because you logically know that they are good for you. I think a better, more empowering way to think of self-discipline is as a tool that will help you get to your goals and get you to your dream life. So try to really pay attention to how you feel after practicing self-discipline. For example, after a workout that maybe you really didn't feel like doing, how amazing does it feel to be riding that endorphin high afterwards, feeling really proud of yourself? Maybe even write that down so that then in the future you can call on that feeling and think about how that simple act of self-discipline will make you feel really good in the near or far future. Another tip for exercising self-discipline is to give yourself as little time to negotiate with yourself as possible. A great summary of this is the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. In her book, The 5-Second Rule, she explains the moment you have an instinct to act on a goal, you must 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and physically move or your brain will stop you. That's what it takes to get what you want. Not big scary leaps once a year. It takes small but irritating moves every single day. But as much as self-discipline can make you accomplish some pretty amazing things, we also can't rely 100% on self-discipline. I think this is really similar to decision fatigue, the deteriorating quality of decisions made by an individual after a long session of decision making. So similarly with practicing self-discipline, if you're going through your day making good choices over and over, but really having to force yourself to do every single one of those things, you're probably gonna end the day feeling a little bit drained. So if motivation doesn't do the trick and neither does self-discipline, What do we do, Beatrice? I'm glad you asked. I think a good term for it is life design. The key to living a life where you're motivated as often as possible and have to rely on your self-discipline as rarely as possible is designing your surroundings, your environment, your schedule, etc., so that making the good decisions is as easy as possible. I think the best way to demonstrate this is with a few examples of common goals that people have. So first off, healthy eating. So I don't mind eating healthy because I absolutely love the food that I eat, and I don't talk about that often because I don't want people to be like, okay, we get it, Beatrice, you like eating vegetables, wow, you're so healthy. But I just think the mindset that healthy food has to be less delicious is so harmful. Rather than just accepting that changing our eating habits means exercising our self-discipline and crying over a dry bowl of salad every day for the rest of our lives, how can we instead design a life where healthy eating is not just easy, but dare I say it, enjoyable? For one, you can find recipes that are delicious to you. They definitely exist. There are healthy dishes that I don't enjoy eating, anything with celery, for example, so I just don't eat that, and there are a gajillion other foods that are healthy that I love. We can also work on changing our eating preferences through what I like to call an initial investment of self-discipline. I did the Whole30 eating challenge back in February, and yes, it did take some self-discipline to complete, but I feel like now I'm reaping the rewards of it because I used to be someone who loved any breakfast that was sweet and grain-based, but now I actually wake up every morning craving eggs with vegetables and avocado on toast. I couldn't have toast on the Whole30, but whatever. But the point is that because I used some self-discipline initially to get myself to like the food, I now just feel motivated to eat that kind of food. Another thing we can do is remove temptations by not buying unhealthy treats at the store. When I was doing the Whole30, the only time that I ever craved non-compliant food was if it was literally right in front of me. So if we didn't have cookies at home, I didn't crave cookies, and so I didn't have to exercise the self-discipline to resist the pull of cookies because they just weren't there. Another goal people often set is to exercise more. Instead of dreading every single time that we put sneakers on, how can we instead design our life so that we enjoy exercise more? So first of all, find workouts that you like. If you don't like yoga or weightlifting, try biking or hiking or rock wall climbing or Zumba or kickboxing or learning K-pop dances. And again, just like with eating, we can train ourselves to change our workout preferences. So I used to hate running. I would dread every single time that we had to run the mile in gym class. And so I decided to do the logical thing for someone who hates running, which is to train to run a 5K. I did the Couch to 5K program. On many days it sucked, but I finished it. It really built up my running stamina, and eventually I found that once I actually got to a point where I could do some running without feeling like I was dying, I kind of started to see why people enjoyed running. And so now I'm not like a runner, I wouldn't say, but I've included it as part of my exercise repertoire, and it's something that I genuinely enjoy sometimes. Maybe you're someone who would benefit from a group exercise format. So I love kickboxing classes, first of all because there's so many people, the music's loud, and there's a lot of energy, but also because I am motivated to hang in there simply because I don't want anyone to see me leaving. So then that gives me energy to finish the rest of the workout. And one last example of applying life design to a goal is if your goal is to learn something. First of all, pick something that you're genuinely interested in learning. That's why I'm currently studying Korean, why I read books about self-improvement and not organic chemistry, and then create a schedule for yourself. The thing about school is that it happens on a fixed schedule and class starts whether or not you're feeling motivated for it. So once you're out of school, or maybe you're still in school but there's something else that you're passionate about and you want to learn about, you have to create that structure for yourself. So for me, that meant 2 hours a day first thing in the morning to study Korean, 3 hours a week for reading, and lately I've been wanting to get better and more thoughtful about my social media posting, so I also blocked out 2 hours, 2 chunks of time for taking a Skillshare course about social media. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes on everything from illustration and graphic design to entrepreneurship to marketing. So when you're applying life design to learning, you don't just want to sit around waiting for the motivation to strike, but you also don't want to force yourself at the end of a long day when you're tired and have no energy to go learn, because that'll just make you dislike learning. So what you can do is you can design your life by creating a schedule for learning. That way you make time for it when you know you're likely to be motivated, you make a habit out of it, and you just don't have to think about it as much. It almost happens automatically because it's on your schedule. The nice thing with Skillshare classes is that it's really structured and you can see exactly how long these lessons are. Each class is a combination of video lessons and a class project. So then you can literally go to your calendar and be like, okay, this class that I took is called Social Media for the Creative Entrepreneur by Peggy Dean. This is 44 minutes long with 10 lessons. So I'll do 5 lessons Tuesday, 5 lessons Thursday, and use the remaining hour of each day to work on the projects and apply what I learned to my own blogging. So for example, on Tuesday, I learned about using hashtags, and previously on Instagram, I would just copy over pretty much the same hashtags every time, not really thinking much about it. But after this lesson, I really paused to take the time to find some hashtags that were not only really relevant to my content, but also very specific with high engagement. Learning through Skillshare is a really good way to keep learning and discovering in a structured way, because obviously we don't always have the motivation to learn, but having this dedicated place to go to where the entire lesson plan is already laid out for you means you don't need as much motivation to get going. Skillshare Premium is less than $10 a month with an annual subscription, and the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 2-month free trial of premium membership so that you can explore your creativity. So now that you've seen a few examples of life design in action, I hope you're starting to get some ideas for how you can design your environment and design your surroundings to achieve the life and the goals that you want to achieve. Now, I'm not saying that you can design a perfect life where everything just happens automatically. You'll still need self-discipline and you'll still need motivation, but you'll be so much better equipped to handle the natural ebbs and flows. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested in delving deeper into this and learning more about how to design a life that makes being productive easy, I am currently working on a course that will be coming out at the end of the month, so if you're interested in just being notified about that once there's more information, I have a link in the description where you can put in your email. Other than that, thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next week. Bye!